ASMR people. Jason back again with a little video, hopefully to help you relax a little bit. Today we'll be looking at some coins and some precious metals. Perhaps you remember about a year ago I made such a video. Well, I've got some new stuff and I only showed a little bit of my stuff back then, so let's take a look. Let's get some gloves on. So the very first thing we're going to look at are these old coins. In the United States, quarters, dimes, and half dollars that were made 1964 and before are 90% silver. In other countries, the exact percentage of silver and year they quit making them varies, but most other countries indeed used to make their coinage out of silver. And so where you live might affect the years of coins you can get, but most people are able to get these old coins that are mostly silver. Majority of the weight of silver I have actually is in these old coins like this. I like buying these old coins just because they're sort of fun to look at. Nothing like an old 100-year-old coin or something. Think of the history. Did my great-grandfather carry this? Did your great-grandfather carry this? It's also the premiums are cheap for those who don't know much about precious metals. Premiums are how much you pay over the going price for the commodity silver. It requires cost to make coins and whatnot, so you do always pay slightly over the commodity value of silver or gold. But these are already minted, and typically what you pay over the commodity value is pretty low. Before we get into other coins, we'll keep playing with these and I'll explain my thought process on precious metals. Humanity has used gold and silver as a medium of exchange for thousands of years. It's lightweight, it's fairly rare, quite divisible, and lasts a long time. It's always been sort of the all-star of medium of exchange. Of course, now precious metals are not used as a medium of exchange, but I'm sort of the opinion that it's probably one of the safest long-term investments somebody can get into. Granted, it does go up and down. Let's say more than a U.S. Treasury bond or something like that, but it's one thing that I know will have a lot of value 100 years from now. So I'm also invested in things like stocks and bonds, and I wanted something that perhaps would go up if my stocks and bonds go down, and precious metals do fit that mold. When the market is doing poorly, they tend to go up. If you're at all interested in learning more about precious metals, I'm going to link a friend of mine who has been on me to make this video. So I did. Yankee Stacking, he has some videos that explain why. In fact, instead of linking his channel, maybe I'll link the actual video of explaining why someone should invest in precious metals. So if you're at all curious, check it out. The next type of silver I do own a bit of is what they call in the precious metal worlds is rounds. These are simply 99.9% silver stamped into 1 ounce coins by a private company. It's also a very cheap way of obtaining silver. Nothing fancy about them. These are probably one of the most common designs, just a buffalo round, as they call them. Looks like the American buffalo nickel. Simple design. Has a little hallmark. Stamped 1 ounce, 999 silver. Simple. Within the stacking world, they're, I'll say, slightly controversial. Some say that, when you really have to sell these in a hurry, you'll get knocked down because they're not as in demand as a silver eagle or something like that. And if the economy really goes and we're in a barter situation, perhaps these won't be trusted, some say, and others say, well, I can buy 10% more silver if I buy it this way, so I'm going to stick with this. And who's right, who's wrong? Well, it's hard to say. No one knows, right? Another inexpensive way of getting silver are these little bars like this. You can get them in all kinds of sizes, and this happens to be one of the most common ones. 10-ounce bars. Again, these are pretty low cost over spot price, and they're easier to store. They have some of the same drawbacks that the rounds have, that in that they're issued by private companies, so some question their recognizability and trustability. One other knock they have is, again, in a barter situation, 10-ounce slab of silver is quite a bit. And perhaps not terribly convenient way to have it, but they are inexpensive to buy in terms of price you pay over spot, and it is they're very easy to store, and so there are advantages. You can get bars that are 1 kilo also, and you can get them up to 100 ounces. There's various bars. You can get 5-ounce bars, 1-ounce bars, 20-ounce bars. It comes in all different sizes. The really big bars, I hear coin dealers sometimes will pay a little bit lower because it's hard to unload, because somebody has to be able to afford to buy 1 kilo or 100 ounces. So that's something to keep in mind when one's invested in it. But also, they're probably the 100-ounce bar is probably the least expensive way to buy silver. Now, probably the most famous silver coin, certainly in America and probably even around the world, is the American Silver Eagle. They make literally millions of them a year. They've been making them every year since 85, I think. So I have some of these, and these are, I would say, the least controversial form of silver. It's everyone seems to like American Silver Eagles. Where people enjoy these over the rounds is they're more trusted, being minted by the government, have high standards, and also if one were to counterfeit these, there would be committing a federal crime, which is much more risky. Pretty recognizable. The design's been the same ever since the beginning. Just a good old ounce of silver. Some complain they're a little boring, but I've always been of the mindset that precious metals don't have to be exciting. If you want exciting precious metals, I suggest buying some jewelry. I did consider doing a video showing all of my whole stack of precious metals, but I'll leave that to the stacking channels. I'm just showing you some examples of some of the coins I have. These little green tubes are pretty iconic themselves. Everyone sees these things and they know that's full of American Silver Eagles. I do have a little bit of, we'll say, fancy coins. These here are Canadian maple leafs. but there's no maple leaf on the back because these are one of the collector's editions that they came out with. I believe it was, gosh, something to do with animals. I don't know. There was a dealer that was for first-time customers selling these at spot price, so I went ahead and got them. This guy has it's not a standard-looking maple leaf on the back, but it is some sort of leaf on the back. But I've got a couple of these 1.5 ounce coins and a couple of 1 ouncers. It's cool to have a few collector's edition stuff in your collection, just to have something nice to look at, something to show off, and of course you can put them in these fancy little cases like I got here that protect them, and also makes it so you can kind of mess with them a little bit without scratching them or anything. A little black border makes them look real nice. Some people who stack precious metals are unapologetically coin collectors too, and so they'll buy fancy stuff like this, understanding that they may never see the premium come out of these that they paid, but listen, they have something fun to buy, to own, and it still has sort of an intrinsic value that's of the weight of the precious metal. I have, through my life, I've been a collector of this and that myself, so I understand it. Here's another, what one might call a high premium coin. This is an Australian kookaburra made by the Perth Mint. Probably one of the higher premium, at least, types of coins are Perth Mint coins. They always have really nice designs. And they limit a lot on at least some of their sets. They limit the mintages pretty good. Also, one of the higher premiums you'll pay for coins. This little guy I didn't pay much of a premium for because I'm not into that stuff, but one of the bullion dealers where had some coupon code and typed the code in and got one of these beauties for spot price. That's where most of my fancy stuff comes from, is someone doing some sort of a sale or something like that. So it is a beautiful coin, no doubt about that. So this is mostly what I have for my silver. I've got, I would call a fairly boring stack outside of a few pieces there of some interest. Most of my silver is just pretty boring old coins or generic rounds or American silver eagles. Nothing terribly interesting to look at. Like a year ago I showed some of my gold pieces off, and I've gotten a few new ones since then, but I'll probably re-show some of my old ones too. So let's look at the gold. By far my favorite gold to buy is just old American gold coins. America circulated gold in there as currency up until 1933, and the really collector's market for, as I call it, pre-33 gold isn't very robust, especially on stuff that's high mintages and isn't super mint. So you often can get pre-33 gold for near spot price. This guy is a Liberty Head double eagle. Don't remember what the weight of the coin is, but I believe it contains slightly less than an ounce of gold. The gold percentage is 92 point something percent. For the same reason I like having a lot of my silver as old coins, because I like old coins now. An old gold coin. This one's made in 1904. It's I don't know, the history behind it to me is even like cooler. Like, I mean, this gold perhaps came out of the gold rush in San Francisco in the 1860s. But what did someone do with this? Perhaps my great grandfather bought his first bit of land to start a farm, right? Because $20 in the turn of the century was a lot of money. You probably could buy some land or a house for something like this. And yeah, that's what the denomination of this was, by the way. It was $20. Like the Silver Eagle, the U.S. Mint produces a gold bullion too. This is an American Gold Eagle. Probably one of the, again, I'd say probably one of the most liked pieces in terms of what people like to hold on to, what people like to invest in, but probably not quite as universal as the silver, because some people prefer Canadian maple leafs because they're essentially 100% gold, where this guy's only 92, and people in Europe like the Pamp Swiss bars, and it's a little more segmented than the silver market, but some will tell you that these American Gold Eagles probably you'll get the highest percentage of your premium back out of them than just about any other coin. Some will tell you. They're probably right. Some will say that it's probably the best thing to invest in, because, you know, when you're paying $1,500 for a coin, saving yourself something like $15, $20 in premiums isn't really worth it. You might as well get the easiest to unload one, and I'd say probably the American Gold Eagle is. there are still ways of getting cheaper premiums than pre-33 gold or American Gold Eagles, and this happens to be one of them. This is a Canadian gold coin. One of the few Canadian gold coins that aren't 99.99 pure. This is a collector's coin in 70s, 80s. These collector's coins, the premiums are a little lower on because, for one thing, this is slightly less than a half an ounce. I believe it's 0.485 ounces or something like that of gold. So there's a little issue of regular person, even a coin dealer, without looking in the book, doesn't know exactly how much gold is in this, how much weighs. They've never seen it before. But boy, when I picked them up, the price was right. Ended up using eBay bucks and getting these well below spot. So I'm a sucker when I can get something really cheap, and they're nice looking coins. There's unlike pre-33 gold, there's going to be no wear, so I know exactly what this guy weighs. It's nice and shiny. Here's another example, an American example of just these collector's coins that nobody really collects anymore, so you can get them for a really low price. This was, I believe, a commemorative for the '84 Olympics. Again, it has one of these odds amount of golds, and it's like a 0.485 again ounces. So it does lose a little bit of its universally recognizability, but again, it's a situation where I got a good amount of gold for a really low price. Here's another piece of pre-33 gold. This guy's a half eagle. $5 face value. A hair less than a quarter ounce of gold. When you can get them cheap, they're a cool way to buy some gold. Another way to get gold fairly inexpensively is British sovereigns. The British sovereign has been around forever, hundreds of years. In fact, I believe it was started as a way for various British provinces to trade. Everyone had different currency, so up until recent times, the only way people could trade if it wasn't goods for goods, if they wanted to use a medium of exchange, would be gold. So countries traded with each other. And these people don't really collect them much unless they're in super high good condition and old. So mostly you can just get these for the gold value, and maybe not so much in America, but they are very recognizable in Europe, England. So they're a good little piece. It's they have just a little bit under a quarter ounce of gold in them. So when One thing people do like is sort of I guess what we would call fractional gold, stuff that's less than an ounce, but often you pay a high premium for stuff that's fractional. But with these old sovereigns, you don't. The back of the sovereign, pretty famous. It's been the same for hundreds of years, so it's one way people can recognize them. I like keeping my gold in these little plastic things so I can sort of mess with it without wearing any of it. And some of these little coins like this are actually like brilliant uncirculated, so I wouldn't want to scratch it. Perhaps one of the cheapest ways, probably the cheapest way to get gold, are these old 20 francs coins. Made from, you know, the mid maybe even early 1800s into the 50s. Of course, some of the 50s are restrikes, I guess. But anyway, these 20 francs coins end up having 1.86 ounces of gold in them. A lot of coin people know them, but they're not terribly recognizable, I suppose, for in terms of the general public. But it's a really inexpensive way to buy a small piece of gold. A lot of countries, I say 20 francs generically instead of saying Swiss or French francs, because there are quite a few countries at this time period that made these gold 20 francs all the same weights and purity. Essentially, I think it was almost a precursor to trying to have standardized money. Former countries of the Holy Roman Empire were the ones that did the 20 francs. So Switzerland, France, Belgium, and they're all the same size. And the only thing it changes is what king's on the face and the back a little bit. Here's one of the more liked ones, is the Lucky Angel. Maybe you pay a couple dollars more on a premium on these, but yeah, there's, as I said, a Swiss one, and I believe this guy is a Napoleon III French one. It's kind of interchangeable, really. You know, some of the older ones perhaps have a little bit more wear than the newer ones. But that's a good way of investing in gold, and especially you can get the premiums on these fairly cheap if you know how to use eBay bucks, because eBay don't let you apply your rewards program to bullion, but these are sold as old coins rather than bullion, so you can get a lot of times a good amount of money back when you buy these, which when you figure it in ends up making the premiums often below spot price. So those are my coins. Whether you have any interest in coins, precious metals, gold, silver, or not, hopefully you still found the video relaxing. And I guess one more time I'll mention, if this is something you don't know much about and you want to know about more about it, I'm going to link a friend of mine's video in the description. It's kind of a 101 why someone might be interested in stacking precious metals. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed. Hope you're relaxed. Have a good one. Bye.